What if I told you there's a medical discovery that could have saved millions of lives, but was buried before it even saw the light of day? Imagine a revolutionary treatment, tested, proven, and ready to change the course of modern medicine. Now imagine that someone decided the world should never know about it. Why? That's the question that has haunted doctors, researchers, and investigators for decades. In the next few minutes, you'll delve into a dark story of power, money, and enforced silence. A story where the cure may have been more dangerous than the disease itself, but not for the patients. Are you prepared to discover the truth they tried to hide? Because once you know, there's no going back. Welcome to the dark side of medicine. Before we delve deeper into this disturbing story, I need to ask you a question. Have you ever felt that something is being hidden from you? Something important, something that could change everything, but remains in the shadows for reasons you can't fully understand. If you've ever had this feeling, leave a comment below. Tell us, do you believe that modern medicine tells us the whole truth? Or is there a much bigger game being played behind the scenes? You know, when I started investigating this story, I realized something fundamental. The more people know these uncomfortable truths, the harder it becomes to hide them. And that's exactly why your participation here is so important. Every comment you leave, every like you give, every time you subscribe to this channel and activate the bell, you are saying, I want to know the truth. I'm not afraid to question. This type of content isn't easy to produce. It requires in-depth research, the courage to talk about what many prefer to ignore, and the certainty that there's a community of curious, thoughtful, and courageous people on the other side of the screen. People like you. So, if this topic resonates with you, if something here has touched you, leave a comment below about what has impacted you the most so far. Your voice matters. Your engagement is what makes this channel grow and reach more people who also deserve to know these stories. Together, we are stronger than any attempt at silencing. Now, take a deep breath, because what comes next will leave you even more uneasy. Our story begins in a dark period of humanity, the 1940s. The world was still bleeding from the wounds of World War II. Millions of lives lost, cities destroyed, and a widespread feeling that humanity had hit rock bottom. But it was precisely in this scenario of chaos and despair that something extraordinary was about to emerge from the shadows. In a discreet laboratory in the United States, a group of doctors and scientists worked tirelessly on a discovery that could completely redefine cancer treatment. Can you imagine? While the world rebuilt itself, while families buried their dead, a handful of dedicated researchers believed they had found the key to defeating one of the deadliest diseases in human history. The leader of this project was Dr. William Frederick Koch, a brilliant physician trained at the University of Michigan with a doctorate in chemistry. Koch was no ordinary scientist. He was obsessed with the idea that cancer could be treated not through brutal surgeries or devastating radiation, but through something far more elegant, restoring the body's natural cellular metabolism. Have you ever stopped to think about how medicine at the time treated cancer? Invasive, painful methods with deplorable success rates. People died not only from the disease but from the treatments themselves. And it was in this context that Koch developed something revolutionary, a synthetic compound he called glyoxylide. The promise was simple yet frighteningly powerful. A single injection that could activate the body's natural defense mechanisms against cancerous cells. No chemotherapy, no radiation therapy, no mutilating surgeries. Just a substance that, according to Koch, would allow the body itself to recognize and eliminate the cancer. But here's the detail that makes this story even more intriguing. Koch wasn't working alone in the dark. He had evidence, he had patients, he had documented results. Between 1919 and 1950, over 3 decades of research, thousands of doctors around the world reported using Koch's compounds on their patients, with reports of impressive remissions. You must be wondering, how can something like this simply disappear? How can a discovery with this potential, documented for decades, witnessed by respected doctors, be erased from the history of medicine? Does this question bother you? It should. Because what happened next was not accidental. Dr. Koch was no fool. He knew he was dealing with forces far greater than himself. The pharmaceutical industry was beginning to consolidate itself as an economic powerhouse. Conventional cancer treatments, however ineffective, generated fortunes. And here was a man proposing something radically different, something that threatened an entire business model that was only just beginning to flourish. But the question remains, what really happened to Koch's discovery? Why did it disappear? And more importantly, did it actually work, or was it all a desperate illusion in desperate times? Now, let me ask you a question that will completely change how you see this story. What would happen if, overnight, cancer ceased to be a death sentence? I'm not talking about gradual improvements, about slightly higher survival rates. I'm talking about a complete revolution. A change so profound that it would alter not only medicine, but the very economic and social structure of the modern world. Koch's discovery promised exactly that. And when you understand the magnitude of what was at stake, it begins to make sense why such powerful forces moved to bury it. Let's start with the obvious. Human lives. Millions of them. In the 1940s, cancer was already one of the leading causes of death in the Western world. Today, decades later, we continue to fight the same battle. Do you know someone who has been touched by this disease? Of course you do. We all do. Family, friends, acquaintances. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It attacks mercilessly, leaving a trail of indescribable suffering. Koch's glyoxylide proposed something that seemed impossible, treating cancer at its metabolic root, allowing the body itself to eliminate diseased cells. Without the devastating side effects of chemotherapy, without the brutal toxicity of radiation, without surgeries that mutilated bodies and spirits, imagine the psychological impact of that. Patients who, instead of preparing for months of agony, could receive a simple treatment and resume their lives. But this is where the story gets truly disturbing, because we're not just talking about saving lives, we're talking about dismantling an entire industry. Do you have any idea how much money is currently involved in cancer treatment? Hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Specialized hospitals, radiotherapy equipment costing millions, chemotherapy drugs with stratospheric prices, complex surgeries, prolonged hospital stays. Cancer, as terrible as it is to admit, is an extremely lucrative business. Now imagine that in 1940, right at the beginning of this industrial consolidation, a doctor appears saying he has a simple, cheap, and effective solution, a single substance that could replace this entire complex medical industrial apparatus. Can you sense the threat that this represented? Think about it. If Koch's discovery had been validated and adopted globally, how many pharmaceutical companies would have gone bankrupt? How many hospitals would have lost their main sources of revenue? How many specialist doctors would have seen their careers crumble? How many investors would have lost fortunes invested in conventional treatment technologies? But there's more. Koch's discovery didn't just threaten the cancer industry. It threatened the entire dominant medical philosophy. Modern medicine was built on an interventional model. Surgeries, powerful synthetic drugs, increasingly complex and expensive technologies. Koch proposed the opposite, working with the body, not against it, restoring, not destroying. Was this concept too revolutionary, or was it too dangerous for those who profited from the existing model? And here's the question that should keep you up at night. How many other discoveries like this might have been suppressed throughout history? How many potential cures have been buried because they threatened interests that were too powerful? If it happened once, why wouldn't it happen again? The truth is that Koch's discovery promised to change everything. And perhaps that's exactly why it never had a chance. And then what always happens when someone threatens the system occurred, the machine turned against them. The year was 1942. Dr. Koch was at the height of his career, with thousands of doctors using his compounds around the world, patients reporting remissions, and a growing reputation that was beginning to bother the wrong people. That's when the FDA, the United States Food and Drug Administration, decided to act. But not in the way you might expect. They didn't ask for more studies. They didn't propose rigorous clinical trials. They didn't offer scientific collaboration to validate or refute Koch's claims. No, they went straight for the jugular. They accused Koch of fraud, of charlatanism, of selling false hope to desperate people. Can you feel the weight of that accusation? A doctor with decades of research, impeccable training, extensive documentation, being treated like a snake oil salesman. But here's the detail that should make you question everything. During the ensuing legal proceedings, the FDA never managed to prove that Koch's treatment didn't work. Read that again. They never proved it didn't work. The trials dragged on for years. From 1942 to 1948, Koch faced devastating federal lawsuits. His laboratory was raided. His records were confiscated. Doctors who used his treatments were intimidated, threatened with loss of their medical licenses. Patients who had reported improvements were ignored or discredited. And here's where the story gets truly sinister. In both federal trials, the jury ruled in favor of Koch. Yes, you heard right. He won. Twice. The juries, composed of ordinary citizens who heard the evidence, concluded that there was no basis for the FDA's accusations. But do you think that changed anything? Of course not. Even after the legal victories, the smear campaign continued. The American Medical Association, the powerful American Medical Association, published devastating articles against Koch. The media portrayed him as a dangerous charlatan. Pharmacies were prohibited from distributing his compounds, and slowly, methodically, his discovery was erased from history. Now tell me, does this seem to you like an honest search for scientific truth? Or does it seem much more calculated, much darker? But there's a detail that makes it all the more disturbing. In 1948, after years of relentless persecution, Dr. Koch did something unexpected. He fled the United States. He went to Brazil, then to Europe, living in exile until his death in 1967. A brilliant scientist, forced to abandon his own country because his discoveries were too inconvenient. Why would an innocent man run away? Or rather, what exactly was he running from? Some say Koch received constant threats, that his life was in danger, that the forces against him were not merely bureaucratic but far more dangerous. Others suggest that he knew too much, that he had evidence that could expose all the corruption within the medical industrial system that was becoming entrenched. And here's the part that should send chills down your spine. Throughout this entire period of persecution, not a single serious, controlled, and unbiased study was ever conducted on the effectiveness of Koch's compounds. Never. The FDA didn't want to validate. It wanted to destroy. Think about it. If someone claimed to have a cure for cancer today, what would the logical reaction be? To test it exhaustively, right? To mobilize the best scientists, the best laboratories, to conduct double-blind studies, to meticulously review every claim. But with Koch, they did the opposite. They attacked the messenger and ignored the message. Why? What was so threatening about Koch's discovery that justified this level of aggressive suppression? Some independent researchers suggest that Koch's compounds did indeed work, at least in some cases, that there were genuine remissions that couldn't be explained by placebo or spontaneous remission. But this evidence was deliberately buried, filed away, forgotten. And the question that keeps echoing is, how many lives could have been saved if, instead of persecuting Koch, they had seriously investigated his discovery? Thousands? Millions? That's the true tragedy of this story. It's not just about one man destroyed. It's about all the lives that could have been different. It's about a system so obsessed with protecting its interests that it's willing to sacrifice its very reason for existing, saving lives. And now we enter the darkest part of this story. The part where facts begin to mingle with whispers, where documents disappear and witnesses fall silent. Because you see, when something is suppressed so forcefully, when they try so desperately to erase a discovery from history, it creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, theories flourish. Have you ever wondered why some stories take on a life of their own? Why certain mysteries refuse to die, even decades later? It's because, deep down, we all sense when something isn't right. When the official version doesn't add up. When there are too many coincidences, too many convenient silences, too many loose ends. The first theory, and perhaps the most disturbing, is that of coordinated industrial suppression. Some researchers claim that the persecution of Koch was not the work of a single agency or organization. It was an orchestrated conspiracy involving the FDA, the American Medical Association, and most importantly, the large pharmaceutical corporations that were beginning to dominate the American medical landscape. Think about it. In the 1940s and 1950s, the pharmaceutical industry was undergoing a radical transformation. Enormous investments were being made in synthetic drugs and expensive treatment technologies. And suddenly, a doctor comes along saying that a single simple substance could solve one of the most lucrative problems in modern medicine. Do you really think that would be welcomed with open arms? Some say that secret meetings took place, that executives from major laboratories met with government officials to discuss the Koch problem, that astronomical sums of money changed hands to ensure that their compounds never reached the market legally. Does this sound like a conspiracy theory? Perhaps. But after everything you've heard so far, does it sound so absurd? The second theory is even more sinister. Some suggest that Koch's compounds worked too well, that the results were so promising that they caused panic among those who controlled the medical system. Because you see, a simple and inexpensive cure for cancer is not just an economic problem, it's a power problem. Whoever controls the cure controls everything. They control people's hope, they control unimaginable fortunes, they control the future of medicine. And perhaps, just perhaps, there were people powerful enough to decide that this kind of control could not remain in the hands of a single idealistic doctor. But here's the detail that makes you question everything. Why did so many doctors continue using Koch's compounds even after the persecution? Why, decades later, are there still whispered accounts from professionals who believe he was right? If it was all a fraud, why does the mystery persist? There is a third, more recent theory suggested by historians of medicine. They argue that Koch may have discovered something genuine, but that the science of the time simply lacked the tools to adequately understand or validate it. That his mechanism of action was so ahead of its time that it was dismissed not out of malice, but out of scientific ignorance. But even this milder theory doesn't explain the aggressiveness of the persecution. It doesn't explain why he was never given the benefit of the doubt, why there was never an honest, transparent, and rigorous investigation. And then there are the disappearances. Yes, disappearances. Patient documents that vanished from medical files. Research records that were never found after the raids on Koch's laboratory. Doctors who used his treatments and who suddenly stopped talking about it, as if they had been silenced. One particularly disturbing case involves Dr. Royal Rife, another researcher from the same era who worked on alternative cancer therapies. Coincidence or not, Rife was also persecuted, defamed, and his research destroyed. Two scientists working independently on revolutionary approaches, both systematically annihilated by the medical establishment. Doesn't that make you think? There are still those who believe that some of Koch's compounds survived, that preserved samples of this forbidden substance exist, hidden in private laboratories in the basements of old pharmacies, and that from time to time people with the right connections still manage to access them. Truth or urban legend? Impossible to know. What we know is this. The story of Dr. Koch is surrounded by a level of mystery and contradiction that shouldn't exist around something that was supposedly just a fraud. Frauds are exposed, unmasked, and forgotten. But inconvenient truths, those are buried, guarded, and protected by layers of silence. So tell me, what do you think really happened? Was it all a lie? Or were they trying to hide a truth that was too dangerous to be revealed? And now we come to the question that changes everything. The question that should haunt you when you turn off this video and return to your daily life. What if? What if Dr. Koch's discovery had been embraced instead of destroyed? What if, at that crucial moment in history, science had chosen curiosity over fear, truth over profit? What would our world be like today? How many people you love would still be alive? How many families would have been torn apart by the pain of losing someone to cancer? How many funerals would never have happened? Think about it. Really think about it. But there's something even more disturbing about this reflection. Because if this happened once, if a potentially revolutionary discovery was buried by obscure interests, what makes you think it's not happening now? At this very moment, as you watch this video, how many other cures, how many other solutions, how many other truths are being silenced? We live in an era where information is power, but also where disinformation is a weapon. Where corporations have budgets larger than entire countries. Where the line between protection and control is increasingly blurred. The Koch case is not just old news, it's a warning. The real question isn't whether he was right or wrong. The real question is, why did we never have the chance to find out? Why was the decision made for us without us? Who really has the right to decide which treatments you can or cannot access? This story has no happy ending. It has no satisfactory resolution. Dr. Koch died in exile. His compounds disappeared. And millions continued to die from the disease he swore he could cure. But perhaps the true ending to this story hasn't been written yet. Perhaps it's being written now, by people like you, who refuse to accept pre-established narratives, who ask difficult questions, who demand transparency. So I'll leave you with this. Don't believe me. Don't blindly trust anyone. Investigate. Question. Doubt. Because only in this way can we prevent stories like this from repeating themselves. And the next time someone tells you that something is impossible, that an idea is too radical, that a discovery can't be real, remember Dr. Koch and ask yourself, impossible or just too inconvenient? The truth is out there. The question is, do you have the courage to look for it? If you've made it this far, to this final line, you're not like most people. Most give up halfway through, returning to the comfort of easy certainties, of pre-digested truths. But you stayed. You wanted to know. and that says a lot about who you are. Look, if this content resonated with you in any way, if something I said here sparked an idea or made you question something you thought was resolved, leave a comment saying, "I got to the end." That's all. That way I know you were really here, present, connected to this story. And as a bonus, I can respond to you directly, exchange ideas about what impacted you the most. And if you enjoyed it, and I mean really enjoyed it, not just liked it, but felt it was worth every minute, click the like button. It's not just a button. It's you saying, this type of content needs to exist. This conversation needs to continue. And believe me, that makes a real difference. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, now might be the time. Because if this story grabbed you, there's much more to come. Mysteries no one wants you to know. Hidden truths, questions that deserve answers. And I'll keep bringing it to you. By the way, there's a video over here that will pique your interest even more. It connects directly to what we've been talking about. Click and come with me. Let's delve deeper together. Until the next mystery.